On India Decides this evening, has India lost its diplomatic high ground after the vicious attack on a Pakistani prisoner in an Indian jail today? Joining us, Musharraf Zaidi, senior political analyst. He joins us from Pakistan. We are also joined by Professor Mehboob Beg, Lok Sabha MP of the National Conference, Najma Heptullah, senior leader of the BJP, Vivek Kaju, former secretary in the External Affairs Ministry, someone who's dealt extensively with Pakistan as a diplomat, and Abid Rasul Khan, member of the Congress Party. Thank you all very much for joining us. Musharraf Zaidi, let me come to you first. You know, in a statement by the Pakistani Foreign Ministry a little while earlier on, you know, there was an answer where they said that Sarabjit was injured as a result of the scuffle between prisoners. On the other hand, Sanaullah seems to be the victim of a direct assault. How can Pakistan reach that conclusion that Sarabjit was injured because of a scuffle and Sanaullah was the victim of a direct assault? How does Pakistan reach that conclusion?
Well, Vinod, you know that I left the foreign ministry in January, so I'm not able to speak for them or how they're reaching their conclusions. And the only conclusion that I've drawn from this extremely unfortunate series of events following the unfortunate events in January is that it seems that the addiction to hatred is stronger than the attempts at reconciliation and normalization, which our countries have been attempting mutually for the past several years.
Now, that being said, isn't this statement bizarre? Because if indeed on the one hand our countries are trying to find a way forward, how can Pakistan conclude that Sarabjit was injured as a result of a scuffle? There were 6 men who attacked him with blades, with bricks, whereas on the other hand this appears to have been a scuffle from what we know.
In fact, there was a pickaxe that was used to whack Sanaullah over the head. That was the weapon of choice for Vinod Kumar. You see, Vinod, I'm very happy to engage in a 1-on-5, battle royale, which actually will further whet the appetites of both Indian and Pakistani viewers, and we'll keep going down this sort of downward spiral of, attack and counterattack, which I actually don't want to do. So I'm not speaking for the Pakistani Foreign Office. The spokesperson made the statement that he did. He's a very capable diplomat,
no, but do you disagree with
I
him?
know for a fact.
Do you therefore disagree with him?
No, I'm not the investigation authority, so neither do I know what happened in Lahore with Sarabjit. I know that he's dead, and I know that negligence or other factors that took place are responsible for his death. And I know that there's a man in a coma in Chndigarh who also, both either because of negligence or negligence and other factors, is in that coma in Chndigarh. Those are the only things that I know. It's not my job, and there is an investigative process. There was an FIR that was registered, Section 302, which is a case of murder against the attackers on Sarabjit. The prison officials have been suspended, and a similar set of, I think, measures are taking place in India. And, that's where we are. So getting into this, dissecting the statement of the Pakistan Foreign Office spokesperson is probably not the best way to move forward, especially for a media, especially on your side, if you don't mind me saying, that has really, has been sort of very, very active, to find the most neutral word that I can use, in propagating this hysteria that has taken over in India. And to an extent, I suppose, it's understandable that an Indian national was attacked in a jail where he should have been protected from those attackers.
But is it necessarily hysteria? Vivek Kaju, let me put that question to you. Is it necessarily hysteria what we are seeing in the Indian media, or is it reflection of this deep irritation and sadness that Sarabjit had to die? It's very unfortunate what's happened in Jammu today, but isn't this hysteria reflecting the reality of the equation between India and Pakistan?
No, I think I'd like to make, Vishnu, if you permit,
yes,
a couple of points.
Yes.
First of all, howsoever strongly we may feel on Sarabjit and the way he was treated in Pakistan, no right-thinking Indian would justify what has happened to Sanaullah today. I think that's a clear point, and that's a point which must be understood in Pakistan. I think the authorities have decided that they will conduct an investigation, and I have no doubt that investigation will be in the traditions of the Indian judicial system, a fair and full investigation in this matter. Having said that, 2 short points. I think, one, all this is a residue of what happened on 26/11. Our Pakistani friends simply don't appreciate that very large sections of Indian public opinion is still raw because of what happened on 26/11 and because of the inaction in Pakistan on the perpetrators of that attack. I'm not linking the two directly, but only to say that there is a sentiment here which the Pakistanis must address. Two, I think India needs to have a realistic and consistent policy on Pakistan, but prisoners, fishermen, etc. have to be quarantined from the negatives of the relationship.
Yes.
And that is why in one of my recent articles I have suggested that the oversight for prisoners and fishermen should be handed over to the National Human Rights Commission on the Indian side and a similarly empowered body on the Pakistan side. You know, these are humanitarian issues, these are tragic issues. I've dealt with these issues as part of my diplomatic career for as long as 6 years.
Mr. Kaju, I just want to get Musharraf to respond to that earlier point that you were trying to make, that that India still remains raw because of what happened in 26/11, that it's not over for us. So therefore, perhaps the anger that one sees in this country and which is reflected in the media, it's part of that there is a great deal of anger with the way things have gone with Pakistan. Just look at recently the incident on the line of control. Right, then Sarabjit dying. So therefore there is an explanation for this, Musharraf.
Sure, of course there's an explanation, but and I also would say that there's been a lot of Pakistanis and sections of Pakistani opinion that have engaged in a process of trying to sort of understand and engage with the Indian imagination and express the sense of if nothing, I mean, frankly, a sense of solidarity. Pakistan has been sort of, in Urdu we say channi ho gaya hai, with repeated sort of wave after wave of terrorist attacks. Our, very nascent democratic system. Just today, we had one of the candidates from the ANP that was killed in Karachi. We had a candidate from another party that was killed in Balochistan. So, we have a wave of terrorism so we know what Mumbai went through, and in a sense, we're probably more frustrated because not only have there been no convictions on the Mumbai attacks, but there have been no convictions on any of the other attacks, the Marriott attack, the GHQ attack, the PNS Mehran attack. It seems that the Pakistani system is having a great deal of difficulty in managing and processing how to counter terrorism, how to counter violent extremism. And that's a problem that doesn't just affect India, it affects Pakistan more because of the volume of it that's taking place here. So, yes, we feel for the victims of Mumbai. We feel strongly that the perpetrators of Mumbai should be punished. We're dealing with a set of institutional crises that have made all of this much more difficult. And at this time, it's important that when it's really, you use the word quarantine, and that's exactly the right word, to treat the different aspects of the relationship in the context that they belong in. And prisoner Sarabjit should not have died. He should not have been attacked. He should have, in fact, at some point in time, my personal view is that, he should have been sent home after spending more than 14 years. But that doesn't justify, and that is not an apology.
And I don't think anybody is saying that it does, what has happened today.
Yeah.
Professor Mehboob Beg.
Just one quick word.
Mr. Kaju, I've got other panelists. I will come back to you, Mr. Kaju. I must go on to my other panelists.
Fair.
Professor Beg, what happened in Jammu today? I mean, law and order is a state subject. How could something as vicious as this take place, particularly when there was already an alert which said that Pakistani prisoners must be looked after to prevent this sort of an attack happening in an Indian jail? Hasn't India therefore lost its diplomatic moral high ground with Pakistan as a result of this attack?
Vishnu, you are absolutely right. This shouldn't have happened. Whatever has happened in Jammu shouldn't have happened. This is as painful and as unfortunate as whatever has happened in Pakistani jail. But it doesn't justify that. But what we have done in the state, immediately you must have heard Home Minister of the state saying that the medical superintendent of the jail, he has been put under suspension and an inquiry has been already started. But both acts, whether it happens here or it happens in Pakistan, both are condemnable, both are barbaric and both are brutal. And this shouldn't have happened. and we have to have a political will to move forward. We can live as good neighbors as during Atal Bihari Vajpayee's regime and when General Musharraf was in control in Pakistan. We have shown that we can live as good neighbors, and that suits both countries. Not only both countries, we the people of Jammu and Kashmir will be benefited most.